Oh, what a game 7! Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Outside of the first period, it was kind of boring.
Dragging.
It was dragging. Yeah, it was a little bit of a dragging game. But congratulations to the Florida Panthers on winning their franchise's first Stanley Cup. Um, yeah, you get a couple boos. I know, Aaron, you had Edmonton in 7. They tried. They really tried. They thought they were going to get it there at the end of the game or towards the end of the game. I'm surprised they waited so long to pull Stuart Skinner, but they just couldn't get any offensive pressure to get him out of the net. Real quick, what were your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, I thought it was kind of funny that when Edmonton scored the only goal, that where did they shoot it in? The 5-hole right up there in the corner. And it was kind of funny because we were talking about that, and I believe it was Ray Ferraro saying that when the Oilers were shooting underneath Bobrovsky, he was stopping everything. We were talking about that. Like these Russians, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky, they know to stop those. They said, where is his weakness? The 5-hole. And that's what they did. And I thought they were going to keep doing that. But, I mean, I guess hats off to the Panthers. It was a pretty hard fought series with the 7 games. And they honestly had the best strategy going into the game. They suffocated McDavid and Draisaitl, and that's what they were doing games 1 to 3. Why they didn't do it 4 to 6? Maybe it was rigged. I don't know. We just said it before we came on. It could have been rigged. I don't know. But other than that, I mean, hats off to Edmonton, though, especially with the certain injuries that they had. You know, the slow starts to McDavid. He came back. I didn't see who won Conn Smythe. I just turned it off as soon as they won it. So I'm assuming it's McDavid. There's no way anyone on that Florida team should have won it.
I haven't seen yet who's won.
I'm surprised. Usually they do that like right away.
Yeah, usually it's pretty quick.
But I mean, that's Sam Reinhart goal though.
That was beautiful.
That was a freaking slap shot and a half.
Yeah, Edmonton gave him too much room. They didn't give him. They didn't pressure. They didn't give him or put any. There was no pressure on him to get that to not have that open shot like that. You can't give a guy who scored 57 goals in the regular season a shot like that and expect him to miss the net. Like there's
especially Kulak especially Kulak just he pushed so back into the zone. He just, like you just said, left him wide open, which made absolutely zero sense because even though he was struggling in his playoffs, he's still a sharp shooter.
Yeah. How do you think Corey Perry feels right now?
That it's his fault.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what do you expect from him to do? He did what he needed to do. He's 30, 38, 39 years old.
Right.
I mean, it's not like he's been on bad Stanley Cup teams. Every team he's been on has been a good team. It's just the people around him. He's getting older, and I loved how during this people were saying that he was chasing the rings, and I was like, dude, he's signed with Chicago.
Yeah.
What do you mean he's chasing the rings? So I mean, yeah, I mean you could say it's a curse, but when it comes to playoff time, Corey Perry does his job, and you can't really say that a lot about some of the Edmonton players. They were stepping it up, but they weren't really doing their job. Otherwise, it wouldn't have went to 7.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to see if I can find anything on who won the Conn Smythe Trophy, but
I will say though, Edmonton's penalty kill very historic. What was it, 40?
Oh yeah, they went
9?
Something like that. God. Something ridiculous. Yeah. So it was just 2 minutes ago. Connor McDavid, your Conn Smythe Trophy winner, 42 points in 25 Stanley Cup playoff games. So congratulations to Connor McDavid on winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. When was the last time that any player from the losing team has won?
2003 Anaheim Ducks. I can't say his name because I feel like it's like French, so I don't want to mess it up. But it's like Gizzery. However you say that. He was the last one, but yeah, it was 03.
Yeah. It
was the last time that happened. But yeah, no, there's nobody on that Florida team that was better than Connor McDavid. I'm sorry. When your points are going up against an 88 Gretzky, a 93 Gretzky, an 85 Gretzky, and what was that, 91 Lemieux?
Something like that.
I'm pretty sure you're in good, you're a good company. But
yeah, he broke Wayne Gretzky's record for assists in one postseason, become the third player with 40 points in a playoff year. So that right there sums up why Connor McDavid should, and the reason why he won the Conn Smythe Trophy, and a big part of the reason the Edmonton Oilers have gotten to the Stanley Cup Finals, and a big reason they did not get swept in the Stanley Cup Finals, or were able to get to Game 7 because of this. The guy right there. It's a guy, you talk about. I don't know who it was that brought it up the other night. We were talking about generational players, and our parents had Wayne Gretzky and Mario, those kind of guys, stuff like that. We have Connor McDavid, and Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. We've got to see these guys succeed in the NHL. So again, congrats to Connor McDavid on that side of things. How impressive was Sergei Bobrovsky's play tonight? He looked like Bobrovsky of game 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the last time he was in a Game 7, which I didn't realize, was against Boston first round. I think they say he saved 32 or 33 saves. I'm just going to look right here because I actually don't know how many saves he did. Yeah. He did 24 saves. I mean, that's pretty good. And I thought he was gassed. The last 3 games, I thought that they were getting to him. They were scoring so much as confidence was going down. So now that he has a cup ring, I think it's pretty safe to say we could solidify him as a Hall of Famer, 2 Vezinas, a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So hats off to Sergei Bobrovsky.
There's a possibility he gets a 3rd one, right? This year, I would imagine I know he's in the running, isn't he?
He is. I still think it's Connor Hellebuyck in Winnipeg, but that's just me. They'll probably give it to Bobrovsky just because he won the ring.
Yeah.
But it should be Connor Hellebuyck this year. I'm not even gonna say Shesterkin because it's not accurate. But with Connor McDavid, is this like in the NBA Finals, like let's say like when Jason Tatum lost the Golden State Warriors, it was all on him. Is this all on Connor McDavid? Like, do people criticize his legacy because he lost? No one really sees him play because he's in Edmonton, but
right. You're going to. I already saw posts saying Connor McDavid's overrated. It's like he's not. This is his first opportunity. The first time he's ever been in a Stanley Cup final.
Insane. I can't believe people are saying this. Like,
I know.
Did they not look at his stats?
Right. I guess you could compare it to the way things were for Jason Tatum. Because he is a superstar in the NBA who was constantly being, in the Eastern Conference Finals, in the NBA Finals, the last couple of seasons, and just wasn't able to get there until this year. So maybe this is Connor's start.
I kind of put him in the Ovechkin territory.
Yeah. Look how long it took Ovechkin to win a cup. That's the reason why it's the hardest championship to win in sports.
And the problem with Ovechkin was he had to deal with my Rangers.
Yeah. He was in the very, very strong Eastern Conference at the time with Sidney Crosby and the Boston Bruins, who were just a monster of a team then. The New York Rangers were good. You constantly had to worry about the Carolina Hurricane, like the New York Islanders. You had it for a while. The Flyers were solid. Tampa, like you were in a very, very deep Eastern Conference for a good chunk of your career, with Ovechkin and even Crosby. And Crosby's enough there with where he ended up with 2 cups, 3 cups.
3.
He has 3.
Yeah, he won 09 because they went. Yep, and they went 15, 16.
Yeah, 15, 16. Right. So and again, it's the reason why it's the hardest championship to win in professional sports.
Plus, people that are putting that up on Twitter have no idea what hockey's about.
No.
And you can say about any fan base, especially when it comes to for me personally, the Rangers. Like you see people all the time like, oh, this guy sucks. Like, dude, you don't watch hockey. People were calling for Shesterkin's head in the beginning of the season. I'm like, dude, you don't know hockey for saying put Jonathan Quick in. But yeah, so those people that are saying McDavid's overrated, you wouldn't be saying that if he was on your team.
They wouldn't be saying it if he won the cup.
Exactly. So no, absolutely not. I will not take that slander. But hopefully, though, this is a positive for McDavid, and hopefully this will give more coverage up in Edmonton. Because if you're not a diehard like us on the 5 hole, you're not gonna watch Connor McDavid.
Right. I mean, I watched almost every single minute of this. And this is the first, probably, I might lie. I won't lie. This is the first Stanley Cup final I've watched from start to finish. In probably 2-3 years at least. Just because it did have that exciting storyline with Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
You know,
I stopped
trying to
watching
go
it
after
last
championship.
year. Yeah, I stopped watching it last year when the Vegas, I think, they slaughter Florida in Game 4, and I was like, oh yeah, this is done.
Yeah.
And Tchauck wasn't playing. I was like, yeah, they're cooked.
Yeah, when Tchauck went out, I was like, this is Vegas. Like Vegas is. There's no reason why Vegas doesn't win this in the next 2 games. Like there's no reason why they don't win. Would it finish in 5 last year?
Yeah, dude, they smoked them.
Yeah. And that last game was 9-3, so it wasn't even. I mean, it just showed like last year. I did watch Game 5. I think it was Game 5 or Game 1, whichever game it was 9-3. I watched the first, I think, period of that game, and by the end of that period, it was like 4-0 Vegas already. I'm like, all right, let's watch something else now. Like this isn't like you could just tell in the way the Florida Panthers played in that game last year that it wasn't their year. Like they weren't going to get that.
And it almost wasn't their year again in this
Yeah.
game because Brandon Montour had a horrible turnover that I thought was going to turn into a goal.
Connor Verhaeghe had a couple more.
Yep, Carter Verhaeghe had a few bad plays. You know, he had the one goal finally since like Game 1. But the Connor McDavid goal where everyone's like was crowded up on him, I really thought he was going to score in that. So there are a lot of chances for Edmonton in this one. It's just like we said at the beginning, the Florida Panthers really isolated Draisaitl and McDavid. So what they did the first 3 games, and that's obviously gave them the victory. But with this Florida team, though, I believe they have 11 to 15 free agents. So money talks. You could tell by those Tampa teams.
Yeah.
Do you think though they repeat, even though this is really early to say, or do you think the money's going to talk and they're going to lose a lot of players?
I think they'll lose some. They'll lose some guys. I don't know how you. I mean, every team goes through that. You know, after winning a cup, everybody wants a little bit more money. Well, besides Vegas and Tampa, everybody wants a little bit more money. So I don't know if it's like do you want championships or do you want the money?
Right.
That's where a lot of that goes into. And I mean, with teams like that though, like they'll be able to drop off 3-4 players and be able to pick up 3-4 players that are going to get them back to where they are or where they were at least. I don't know if they repeat. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That'll be really tough.
I mean, their best player, Sam Reinhart, is a free agent. He's unrestricted. So I think he's going to get his payday.
Free agent as well, I believe.
Yep, Ekman Larson's a free agent, which is fine because Ekman Larson.
I think he'll be one that doesn't come back. I don't know if Tarasenko goes back.
So I was going to ask you about this because how interesting was that they put him on first power play?
I thought it was a smart move. Why not put the veteran guy there who's been on a Stanley Cup championship team in St. Louis. He's been a very productive NHL goal scorer for practically his whole career. So it wasn't necessarily a surprise. What I think some of it was the fact that Connor Verhaeghe was turning the puck over so much, and it was turning into goals in the back of the net for the Edmonton Oilers that you had to make a change at that spot. Brandon, do I really have to answer this question? How do you award the Conn Smythe Trophy? Because he scored 42 points in 25 Stanley Cup games. He broke Wayne Gretzky's record. He's the third
best player in the league.
40 or more points in Stanley Cup playoffs history. Third player. Think of that. Third player. One of them is Wayne Gretzky.
Yep. And again, it happened in 2003 with the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, he's the best player in the world. No matter what was going to happen, he was getting the Conn Smythe. I will take McDavid over anyone on this Panthers team. Don't care.
The one other player that I think could have won the Conn Smythe would have been, if it was anybody else, would have been Sergei Bobrovsky. That's the only other one that I could think of. That's the only player. Maybe Barkov.
Nah, Barkov was kind of non-existent. He was just getting his groove these last 2 games.
Yeah, and you couldn't give it to Tchauck. He had scored 2 goals in the finals also.
You know who could have been, and I hate saying this, could have been Evan Rodriguez. He did score the most goals.
Yeah, it could have easily been Evan Rodriguez. Which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is the first time an Evan name is going to be on the Stanley Cup trophy.
Really?
Yeah, on the cup.
Wow.
Kind of crazy. After all these years, it's the first Evan that'll be on the trophy. So it's kind of nuts. We're on the Stanley Cup. So yeah, Brandon, that come on. You got to give it to Connor. You got to give it to Connor.
You know Puck, man. You shouldn't have asked that question.
Yeah. So I know, but I thought Bob would have earned it because that's fair. That's
game
fair.
4-6 determined it all. He was very sluggish. His save percentages were going down.
Yeah, if they would have swept the series or won it in 5, I think they would. I think Bobrovsky would have won the Conn Smythe. But the fact that the only reason I shouldn't say the only reason. The one reason the Edmonton Oilers were in Game 7 was because of Connor McDavid. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Do you think the Edmonton Oilers can get back to the Stanley Cup Finals next year?
I haven't looked at who their free agents are, but
Leon Draisaitl.
So he's unrestricted this year, right?
I believe so. But from everything I've heard, he's probably going to be back.
If I'm him, I'd
go to Utah. Screw it. Go to Utah. Mitch Marner's
bring him to Colorado. No,
Mitch Marner's already reportedly traded to Utah.
Get out of here.
I don't think it's true.
You know what? If I'm Draisaitl, I would go to the Red Wings because you have Yzerman. He's won cups with Tampa. He's won them as a player and such with Detroit. They're a pretty good team, and I would have thought they would have tried to trade for Olmark, who was traded to Ottawa today, which is very interesting.
Right, but literally 10 minutes before Game 7 started.
That was insane. So I would go to Detroit or maybe even Tampa because they still have a good team. Just because they got bounced in the first round from the Panthers doesn't mean they're not a good team. They had that stretch we talked about on the 5-hole where if they went into the playoffs, they could have had a good run, and they just happened to go into the Stanley Cup champs first round. Yeah. But I think Tampa would be good because Stamkos is I don't think he's coming back. Plus, he's a little older. Draisaitl, I think, would fit in that John Cooper system. You have Victor Hedman over there. You have Kucherov. You have a pretty good core over there. So I would maybe Tampa or Detroit for him. But yeah, I
sluggish. Where was McDavid for games where he had 0 points and the Oilers lost? Can't say that about Bob with game 4 through 6.
Yes,
Bob looked awful in 4 through 6.
He had a .686 save percentage and got pulled in game 4.
Yeah, he looked awful in game 4, 5, and 6. He really did.
Yeah, come on,
more. Come on. Come on. You know about it.
Edmonton's going to be crazy, though. I'm not sure what they're going to do because that's not a destination people want to go to.
No.
You know, right. What's in Alberta, eh? You know, I want McDavid to get out of there, but I think he's going to stay. All right. Tim Hortons? Do they have Tim Hortons up there?
Tim Hortons, not Timmy Duncan's. Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons. Oh, I said Tim Duncan. Who's Tim? Oh, Tim Duncan. Oh, yeah. San Antonio Spurs legend. Tim Duncan is in Edmonton.
Yeah, he's in Alberta.
It's apparently Snoop Dogg's second home from home. So.
I thought Pittsburgh was, but all right.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. They love him in Edmonton after he said they were going to win Game 6 the night after his concert. Oh, God.
Yeah, Edmonton's going to be tough. I'm honestly not sure. I mean, Chris Knobloch is a decent coach because he coached Connor McDavid when he was with in the AHL.
NHL.
Whatever, OHL.
OHL.
Oh, it's not a big debate. It's
Not a
not a
big
big debate.
not a big
Bobrovsky was awful 4-6.
Yeah.
McDavid did what he needed to do. He was the only player to have back-to-back 4-point games.
Yep.
In the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, name me a Florida player who did that on this team. You really can't. The only one who scored a lot was Evan Rodriguez, and that was
He didn't really even score a whole bunch, did he?
I think he had four or five goals, which was like leading both teams, which is kind of odd. But
Evan Rodriguez. I'm gonna pull it up. So hold on. He had 7 goals in the playoffs. He had 1.
So then he had
in game
4 in the Stanley Cup.
6, and he had 2 in game. What game was that? That'd have been 6, 5, 4, 3. 2 in game 3. So last 5 games, not bad, not awful. And he had 1 in game 1. So 4 goals. 4 of his 7 goals were in the Stanley Cup Finals. But he kind of went quiet after game 2.
Oh, he's not a first liner, so first second liner.
He could be. Any other team, he's probably first liner. Well, not any other team.
Don't say that. I used to say that's my source. Let's not say things we don't mean. That I'm gonna pull that one out on Variety here.
Fair enough. How do you think? I mean, you got to give props to Stuart Skinner. Still, at the same time, I mean, outside of if it wasn't Connor McDavid, I'd imagine Stuart Skinner is the next guy in line to get the Conn Smythe Trophy. I mean, you could say
Ekholm
from Edmonton.
You could say Ekholm in a sense.
You think so? This is his first loss in an elimination game in games 4 through 7.
Yeah.
So it was his first loss of the playoffs this year. In an elimination style in games 4, 5, 6, and 7. He won 2 games back to back, 3 games in the Stanley Cup Finals, 2 in Edmonton or 2 against Vancouver to avoid elimination to move on to the Western Conference Finals. And then obviously you had your easier series in the LA Kings early on. So you got to give Stuart Skinner a little credit.
Yeah, and I'll definitely give him some credit, especially since Jack Campbell started off the year and he was just terrible. And then obviously we know what happened in Dallas. He was benched for 2 games, and then he came back and then beat them and then did this amazing run. So, yeah, but I still don't think he's like your franchise type guy. Yeah. I feel like you could get someone better than him. No, I don't know the free agency off the top of my head for goalies, and I'm pretty sure there isn't any since people are trading goalies away. But somehow you have to fix that, and I don't think Stuart Skinner should be your future, because we saw a guy do that, and his name was Matt Murray. Won back-to-back cups. Obviously he was the leader for that Pittsburgh Penguins team, and then after that he fell like tremendously.
Hard.
Then he went to Ottawa, then he went to Toronto, and he was hurt for Toronto this year. So I think they need to bolster that up a little bit. Yeah. But I'm not sure who they would grab. I don't know. I wouldn't say Cam Talbot would not bring him back. No. Maybe an Antti Raanta. I don't know.
So even with this finals run, you don't think the Edmonton Oilers will keep Skinner?
I mean, they're going to have no choice, but I don't know. Is he a free agent this year? Because if he is, they're probably going to throw big money at it, because, again, there's not really much out there for goalies.
I don't know if he is or not. Well,
because Pittsburgh locked up their backup, and he was actually pretty good too. I forgot his name, but he replaced Tristan Jarry pretty well when Jarry was.
He's a rookie too, isn't he?
Stinking. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You know what they could do? We talked about this in the 5-hole. They could try to go after the Saros down in Nashville, because because they have a guy in the system that's supposed really to be
the next best thing. Yeah,
so maybe Saros would probably help. I think if they had him too, I think that would kind of stop a team like Florida or Tampa or even Carolina.
Is that really much of an upgrade from where you are with Stewart? I mean, I know Is it really is Yuri Saros really that much of an upgrade compared to Stuart Skinner?
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see Brandon anything with comments, so maybe he agrees.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
What was the most impressive thing for like in this finals, the Stanley Cup Finals? What was the most impressive thing to you?
I just think the most impressive thing is that this Edmonton Oilers team, with the way they were hurt, the way that some guys weren't showing up in the first two games, not even the first two, but the first two games, and rallied against apparently this machine of a Florida Panthers team, went to 7 games, pretty much embarrassed them from games 4 to 6. Like, they didn't have a lead until, what was it, game 3. So they had 4 games at one point where they didn't have a lead yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's impressive to me, that unit in general, because, again, when we talked about it after game 3, I thought they were going to lose in 5. So I was like, damn, like I had them in 7, but they're not clicking. Like, they're just suffocating the 2 best guys, and the people who should be stepping up aren't. So, yeah, I'll just take Edmonton as a collective team that just stepped up to come to a game 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, it's just Edmonton's kind of like outside of Florida's forecheck and their ability to keep the puck in the corner for the last 15 seconds of of the game sometimes. Evan Rodriguez tried to do it with like 5 minutes left, and the announcers were like, well, if he could, Evan Rodriguez would just try to keep the puck on the ground and lay on top of it for the next 5 minutes, but the referees aren't going to let that happen. Like, well, no shit. Like, yeah, of course they're not going to let that happen.
This is why I miss NBC Sports announcers.
Yeah, I
so
will
much
admit
energy for them.
The guys that did through ESPN that were more informative. I will say that, like you got a lot of information from them, like kind of useless information sometimes. You know, they're like.
I mean, I respect the mess because he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about the gameplay, like play by play.
Oh yeah,
not the post game, or not the intermission guys. PK and Mark Messier and what's his name? Scott Levy. Steve Levy.
Yeah. I wish Kevin Weeks was honest at PK Subban. Honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sean McDonough, what a homer! That dude cared so much about Florida goals than I think anything. Like, he was so hyped up for him.
Yeah, I just never see. I mean, then again, we kind of got lucky and got the Doc Emmerich Stanley Cup Finals and playoffs, and so to go from that to what it is now, like there was a point tonight that the play-by-play guy, the whoever he is, he's like, it's been like 5 minutes without any stoppage time, and like a minute later, now it's been 6 minutes without any stoppage time. Like, duh.
Come on.
Anybody who's watching the game can see that. They know what's going on. Knows that there hasn't been stoppage because there hasn't been a commercial in 6 minutes. Like, we all know what's happening here. So
they're not going to do that much commercials anyways on like game 7.
No, you can't. Anyways, there was a stoppage in play at one point towards the end of the game tonight, and I was like, please don't send this to commercial. Like, you can't send this. And there was a timeout and whatnot too. So it's like, oh, we're gonna let's take a commercial. Like, okay, that now makes sense because there was a timeout. But at the same time, it didn't. So I don't know. It's what it is. I thoroughly enjoyed the Stanley Cup Finals. I thought they were fun to watch this year. Again, with the storyline and everything tied to it, Connor McDavid being in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time, the Florida Panthers trying to get their basically redemption tour after last year's kind of not so fun cup run for them. What did you think overall of the Stanley Cup Finals?
I haven't watched an NBA Finals in like 4 years.
True. Yeah.
And this was no different. Like, this entire Stanley Cup playoffs, not even the finals,
was long.
Playoffs was long, but it was the most entertaining.
Yeah.
You had like really good goal scorers, really good matchups.
Yep.
Like I thought everything was like really great on this NHL playoffs. And again, I'm a Rangers fan. We lost in 6 to Florida, so I'm still saying it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the NHL is getting better than the NBA, but there are still things that can be improved on. But yeah, no. NHL playoffs is up here, and NBA finals is just kind of down there. Even in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I'd agree. They're not exciting. It's not exciting.
And it's just annoying, the NBA playoffs. It's like you can breathe on someone, it's a foul, but in the NHL playoffs, you can literally check someone into their neck. Right. And it's like a 2-minute minor or something like that. Like they're not faking
it. It should be a 5-minute major. It's not though. Just so you know, it's not a 5-minute major. But we just got to check to double check. We just got to check. Yeah.
But do you think that the NHL runs through Florida now, just because of what's happened with Tampa?
Well,
and now, obviously the Panthers.
In the last 5 Stanley Cups, it's been Tampa, Florida. No, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It has to. You have to say, the hockey runs through. Weirdest thing to say, and I'm going to say it even better. Ice hockey runs through Florida.
Insane.
Runs through Florida. If it's not Florida, it's Texas.
Does it though? Because the Dallas Stars, they get far and then they
it runs through Florida. If you want to win a Stanley Cup final, you're going to have to beat a Florida team, apparently, which is the weirdest thing to say. It's ice hockey.
A little bit, actually.
It's ice hockey. But that just has to do with a lot of like their like state income tax stuff and a bunch of other like ridiculous things that come into play there. So, yeah, what a Stanley Cup final! It really was. Any final thoughts on things?
Nothing on the finals, but just want to say to everyone that was, also that was watching the 5-hole, commenting, appreciate everybody. And also too, it was fun being on the 5 holes, a lot of good conversations, a lot of good topics that we were talking about. So just get ready for next year, because I feel like this free agency and everything else is going to be insane.
It's right around the corner, so I don't think we're going to be going very far at this rate. And you got the draft this coming weekend. Is it this weekend? It's this weekend, right? It's just Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday, I'm not really a big draft person either.
I'm not either.
NHL draft picks are like basketball draft picks.
Yeah, it's not like the NBA. It's not like the NFL draft, but it's like you're not going to see a lot of things happening. We already know. Celebrini's probably going to San Jose.
For sure. And it's a very weak class. I think it's mostly goalies in this one and like defensemen.
The only thing I want to watch it for is because it is just the fact that it's at the Sphere in Vegas. I just want to see like what they're going to do with the, how they're going to do things on the inside and whatnot and whatnot. That's the only part I'm kind of interested in, is to see how the NHL draft works at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Because I think it's kind of a neat place to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think Davis will try to do something.
Yeah. But other than that, you have NHL free agency is July 1st, right around the corner, start of the new year. Already seen quite a few trades happening. Some goaltenders have got traded already. Markstrom is now a New Jersey Devil. Linus Ullmark is now an Ottawa Senator, along with some other smaller trades here and there and whatnot. We'll see what's going to happen with Utah as well and whatnot. You get some new jerseys too, some new logos. The LA Kings, the Anaheim Ducks have released some new stuff as well, new logos for their soon to be I guess new futures with what they got going there. We get the Fanatics jerseys, which kind of got leaked a little bit today with the Capitals announcing their 50th anniversary patch, which is also really, really cool that, seems like that had been around for 50 years. It doesn't seem like it. The bubbles on the shoulders are no more. They're gone.
Oh wow!
The little dimples that were on the Adidas jerseys, they're gone.
I hope Fanatics doesn't mess this up like they did for the MLB jerseys.
Well, there was a lot with the MLB jerseys. It wasn't just Fanatics. It was more Nike then, because Nike changed the jersey template with the numbers and the letters, and then had the awful pants and stuff and whatnot, which all those come from Nike. So, but it's also MLB's fault for having too many fingers in the pot.
For real.
Trying to figure things out. So the tons of stuff. I'm sure we'll be back. Well, we'll figure things out for NHL free agency, which is again July 1st, and whatnot. So you might see us back sooner than later, believe it or not, as long as you're okay with that, Aaron.
Yeah. That's
continue the 5-hole into the summer. Why not? Hockey will be back in October, September.
But we just need help from the fans. Anyone that's watching, make sure you like, subscribe to Variety Sports. Subscribe to the 5-hole. Make sure you click that little bell button so you get notifications from it, because that'll help us. That'll help out Variety Sports in general. It helps. Yeah. But yeah, we just need the support from everyone. And just again, there's nothing wrong with commenting, especially when we do live stuff. We answer everything, as you saw today. We had Brandon in the chat. So appreciate Brandon for being in the chat. So yeah, don't be afraid to put comments in this after the episodes.
We might say that you're wrong, but that's the worst that we'll do. Promise that's the worst we'll do. So for myself and for Aaron, for Jerry, for Brandon, anybody who's been here, Jimmy, who's been here on the 5-hole with us this past season, thank you for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. It's been a great couple months run, and we've seen this show grow over the last couple of months, so we really do appreciate every single person that's tuned in to an episode so far of the 5-hole here on the Variety Sports Network. As always, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it out to everybody you know, and we'll be back probably to cover some free agency stuff next week. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy a little bit of a break from NHL action, and we'll see you next time.